Over the last several years, we Americans have gotten very good at saying what we're against. We've even got lots of practice shouting it. We've started labeling ourselves as red or blue and finding all the ways we're different. As the months pass and we see ourselves drifting further apart, many of us are starting to worry and to wonder how we can put our country back together, how we can genuinely search for unity and common ground in these turbulent times. It seems like such a daunting challenge with so many competing voices, the swirl of social media, and people feeling exhausted, afraid, and on edge. What can we do? One way to start might be to change the conversation. Instead of shouting at others what we are against, perhaps we should start asking ourselves, what are we for? What do we actually want for ourselves and for the people we care about? We're living in a modern society, and although it certainly has its challenges, we have knowledge, experience, and technology that are unprecedented in all of human history. We aren't living in the times of the Egyptians or the Romans or in the Middle Ages or the Industrial Revolution or even the dawn of the information age. We are in the 21st century. Actually, we're already more than 1/5 of the way through the 21st century. And as we think about all the things humanity has done and invented to improve quality of life over the decades and centuries, and as we look around at our country today and its tremendous possibilities, what do we want? What are we for? As citizens of the United States of America, we could start with freedom. We want freedom. What does freedom actually mean? It has several parts. First, there's freedom of thought. We're free all to think whatever we want. The same with freedom of belief. We're all free to believe whatever we want. There's freedom of speech. We're free to say almost anything we want, with a few defined exceptions. There's freedom to vote, to have our voice heard when selecting our leaders. And there's freedom of action. We can do much of what we want, always mindful of how our rights intersect with the rights of others. Freedom is a core part of being an American. What else? How about health? Without health, our rights aren't worth very much. Over the centuries, humanity has made extraordinary progress in health, and these innovations continue to this day. We want to be healthy. There's also wealth. Wealth is actually just part of a bigger picture, well-being. There are many aspects of well-being, and most of them ultimately need to be defined and pursued by individuals themselves. But one key element is a basic level of wealth. Without it, well-being is very limited. There's tremendous suffering in poverty. And although money alone can't buy happiness, having enough money to cover the basic costs of life is a critical part of happiness and well-being. There's education, which for so many people has been and continues to be the gateway to opportunity. Opportunity is the chance to seek a better life, and education is the foundation. And there's safety. We want to be safe and secure, and we want our loved ones and our friends to be safe as well. We want to be able to live our daily lives without fear. So, freedom, health, wealth, education, and safety. Maybe this is what we're for. Maybe when we think about our goals as a modern society, when we get beyond all the political battling and the craziness of social media, these are the things we all want. This list isn't new or particularly surprising, but perhaps today in the 21st century, there's something new, and that is who actually gets these things. Who gets freedom, health, wealth, education, and safety? In the past, in our country and around the world, these have only been available to certain groups for particular reasons. But today, for the first time, we could give a new answer. Everyone. Everyone. When we think about what we are for in America in the 21st century, maybe this is what we want. Freedom, health, wealth, education, and safety for every American. What would this actually mean? How should we think about it? We could start by maximizing things. We could seek a society where our goal is to create a person who has more wealth than any person in history. Or we could try to enable a person to become the most educated person ever. But there have been very wealthy people in civilizations all through history, and educated ones as well. Is increasing the upper limit for a single person the right goal? Or perhaps we could try to make everyone equal. This would be the opposite of maximizing outcomes for an individual. We could try to ensure people get the same outcomes. This might work for freedom and safety. We want to be sure these are equally available for all. But for things like education and wealth, maybe the goal is to provide opportunity that's equal, but not outcomes. And achieving true equality in these areas may be problematic. Alternatively, we could increase the minimum. We could look across all members of society and ensure that no citizen has wealth or safety below a certain level, and we could ensure that everyone's freedoms are preserved and protected. Throughout history, famous leaders and thinkers have said that a society should be measured by how it treats the least among its citizens, or those who have the least. Perhaps this might guide us. Maybe a combination of approaches might work best in America today. Seek to maximize the collective benefit of society while continuously raising the minimum received by those in our society who have the least. We could think actively about improving outcomes for members of our society as a whole, with an additional focus on improving the status of those who need it most. And the definition of progress might be the continual increase of the minimum over time. Being for freedom, health, wealth, education, and safety may not be new. Being for these to be received by everyone definitely is. But how can we find common ground in talking with others about these ideas? A good starting point for finding things that unite us with others might actually be for us to think about these things very personally. Start with ourselves. For anything we are for, are we satisfied with what we have for ourselves? Do we have the freedom we want? What about health, wealth, education, and safety? Is something missing? If so, what is it and what can we do to fix it? Then expand outwards, asking the same questions for our spouse or partner. And then onward to our family, our parents, children, and others. Do they have what they want? If not, what's missing? And then to our friends, get specific. If you or someone close to you does not have what we want them to have in terms of freedom, health, wealth, education, or safety, what is missing? What could and should we do to fix this? And then talk with others about these topics, regardless of whether they are red or blue, similar to you or different in various ways. If we each think about ourselves as people, as citizens, as Americans, and talk about what we are for and what we want for ourselves and those we care about, maybe we'll find that actually we are for many of the same things. We have families and friends. We want the best for them. Let's talk about what we want and how to make it happen. And once we start, maybe this could help us remember all the things we have in common, the things that bring us back together, the things we agree on, the beliefs and the spirit that have united us before and can again. We want freedom and health and wealth and education and safety for ourselves and those we love. We want all this for our fellow Americans, and maybe this will help us remember how to work together like Americans have for generations to improve our lives and our country for the benefit of us all.